It's the GAA Social on BBC Sounds, and we're back in God's country again, aren't we, Oisin? Where you love to be.
Yeah, well, I was hoping I was be able to drive straight on through it, but no, you said stop, so we stopped.
No, we've pit stopped here, and for good reason, because, well, this person in front of me has been recommended by loads of people, and over the last couple of months, and a couple of months ago, it was the first game of the championship. It was Tyrone and Armagh, and I was walking into the athletic grounds, ready for action, had the commentary board, and we're all grand, we're getting ready for TV, and just the looming figure of a man called Stephen Donnelly just pointed at me and goes, "Here, you know who you need to get on that podcast." And it's in a very threatening tone, I have to be perfectly honest with you.
That would be Stevie.
Yeah. And you need to get Catriona McGahan. Catriona McGahan is a former Tyrone Gaelic footballer, absolute character, which I'm hoping we're going to see. I have no doubt over the last 10 minutes before we started recording that's going to come through. But then life took a different turn last July, which we'll probably get into as well. So you're sitting here, and your first thing whenever you came in here today, when we asked you, how do you feel about doing the podcast, what did you say?
You must be hard up for somebody to talk to you.
Yes, which we're not, as best we're aware of. That could change. Catriona McGahan from, Gaelic stroke Caelical. It feels like it's... Where are you from?
Well, sort of on the peak of the mountain between the two,
Yeah.
you could say, because we are in Caelical Parish. We went to school
Yes.
in Cabra Primary School. We have a Gaelic address.
Yeah.
And
You're not really answering the question all the same, are you, Catriona?
I just like to say I'm on top of the mountain between the two.
Right. No man's land.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are here today in a wheelchair.
Yes.
So I suppose, look, we're going to get into the football and everything that comes with that, but can you give me a sense, before the accident, just give me a sense of life?
Well, I suppose I work and live in London, but I flew home at the weekends till helping the farm. This was based from, like, my father passed away about it'll be 5 years this May. And I suppose from that, like, when he passed away suddenly on the farm, my mother wanted to keep the farm going, so it was just everybody pitched in, and I would have come home at the weekends just to do my part.
So you're working in London during the week?
Yes.
So what were you doing in London?
So I teach reformer Pilates in London.
Right. You and your husband, Glenn, living over there?
Yes.
And he's a squad of brickies?
Yes. He has his own wee team, his own wee company over there.
Okay. So you work during the week and you fly home to work in the farm during the weekend?
Yes.
So life's busy?
It's pretty hectic. It's you're leaving work 12 o'clock on a Friday, and you're getting in through the door maybe 8, 9 o'clock that night, depending if the flight's, going to go on time or not. So, been pretty hectic up to that, and I had, I suppose it was last Easter, just taking the week off, and then my mother passed away suddenly that week, which was quite a shock to us all. So I really hadn't went back to London. I was just sort of tipping away in the farm, and like I really love working on the farm. Like, it's quite therapeutic and good for the mind. So I suppose at that point I hadn't went back to London. I was just sort of happy enough working about and doing the farm. I had to go back at some stage, but I suppose that's where I made the decision. Like, I'd booked this French trip from January, so it says I'll go on the French trip, and then we'll think about start making our way back to London. So,
okay.
And that didn't happen.
And the French trip was a holiday?
Yeah.
You and Glenn?
Yeah.
And, what part of France?
Well, this is going to be quite pure French, but it was Gracias les Bains.
Okay.
You know it.
Says me as if I know what you're talking about.
You know it. It's at the second roundabout after the airport of Nice. So in the country, it's sort of like where the province, where the lavender fields. I really wanted to go and see them in full bloom. That was my aim. The reason for going to France, well, it was for his birthday, but it was really for me.
Right, I'm getting that vibe. I'm getting that vibe. So you're away on holiday. You have a few life decisions to make. What happened?
Well, probably one of the first things we did note when we had actually got to the Airbnb, I suppose we'd been driving for 3 years, and I would just say, look, how far is the village away? And he says, just a 15-minute walk. So we had just left the bags up, and then says, look, we'll go for a walk, stretch up to the village and just see about us. So when we had left, you're coming out onto a road. Now, you only sort of walk part of that road before you get to the bridge, and it's all pathway. But the thing that we noticed, that when we were walking along that part of the road, there was this major, major drop. It sort of really took you back because there was no barriers or nothing. You just were holy shit, more or less. It was this is quite a big drop. So, but anyway, we took note of that and was quite aware of it. And then I suppose maybe on the third day, this when the accident happened, we had done all the lavender fields. We were up at 5:30 that morning, had been cruising about all day. Such a unreal day. I came back to the B&B and just pattered about, and basically I went down to the village that night and had dinner, a couple of drinks, and we're coming home. We were quite tired, so we came home. We're so close to the Airbnb, and there was a car coming down, and it was just more or less the lights, and we sort of just stepped in, but I stepped in too far, and that was it. I was gone. The husband knew straight away because he could hear the whole breaking of branches and all of that. It had been a retaining wall, about 35 feet.
Right.
And then straight down, and then you would have sort of came down at an angle then.
Right.
So
you fell massive height.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
No. It's quite crazy. I don't. It's you see the lights, and after that it's there's nothing. Probably maybe till, I don't know, I can't really mind the intensive care. It was probably till I came down maybe the fourth day on the ward that I actually remembered, or
Yeah. How did they get you out of there, Catriona?
So
it was obviously dark at the time.
Oh, it was. I was coming down between. I was between that time of daylight and nighttime. So Glenn knew straight away that I had went down, and he had actually there was not a car coming down the road, and he actually stood out in the middle of the road and stopped the car and had told him to ring an ambulance. And then I don't know how the hell he got down, but he says he just went straight to try and get me, and he says that when he did eventually find me, he says he thought that was it. He says I was laying there, that was it. So he thought I was gone. So at that stage, he says it wasn't too long before the ambulance, the police, and fire brigade arrived. So I think it was all pretty quick.
Okay. So you're brought to a local hospital, or?
It was the hospital in Marseille, which was about, if you're driving it, it's about an hour and 45 minutes.
Right.
So Glenn, obviously it was just me going in their ambulance, so Glenn then had to start.
So you're lifted by a helicopter?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, not one of them South Armagh ones,
Not a Chinook.
No. But, so then Glenn, he had to start sourcing an Uber, and none of them would take him, because of the journey.
Yeah.
It wasn't a local journey, so he had a plead and say, look, I'll give extra money, like if you take him. So he didn't really know what he was facing. Like
They wouldn't have brought him on the helicopter. As well, no. Strange that, isn't it? Maybe it's normal, but just
maybe so. But I suppose like he had says that he had a comprehend with that journey, and when he came into hospital then, and he says just the way the woman met him and goes like, do you know what's happened? And he says, oh, she's really gone this time, because they took him into a side room, and then it was like the pause, but then says, look, she's going to be going into theatre. And he says at that stage he was quite relieved,
Were you conscious when you left the scene? Were you conscious going into the ambulance?
No.
Right. So that must have been that next hour and 45 minutes for him, a couple of hours till he got to you, must have been absolute hell for him.
Yeah.
I know it was no picnic for you either, but...
Well, it depends, he's probably trying to get rid of him, but
right. Just for clarity, he
did not.
Just for clarity, no. Just to clear his name. Right.
We definitely should have took Glenn in as well.
Yeah. So Glenn did not try to kill his wife, is what we're trying to say there. So, and I don't even think I can be serious after that. But not in all seriousness, that's a horrendous couple of hours journey for him.
It is.
We've all been in nights out where you can't get a taxi, and it's very, very frustrating. But for something so hugely important to not get a taxi and not being able to get a lift in a country where, does Glenn speak French?
Definitely not.
Right.
Neither of us are very handy at all.
Right. But he makes his way there. So basically, when did the realisation kick in? What do you first remember when you woke up?
Well, you see, the thing that I remember is, just like the hospital scene that you see on TV is looking at the lights and being completely dry in the mouth. And I said, get me water. But then they couldn't, because I was going on my way to theatre.
Yeah.
So that was, I think I went into theatre that morning. I think it might have been 10 or 11 a.m. And I remember I just wanted water. Glenn was there and he just kept saying, you're going to be all right. But I just wanted water. And obviously going into theatre, you can't have that. So I think they were just dabbing it on the lips or whatever. And then that was it. So I can't really...
Okay. And then eventually you wake up, presumably in a hospital bed, and somebody has to give you the news here. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Well, there was news, there wasn't news. My other sister and brother-in-law, they flew out the next, that Saturday. And I can't really remember this at all, but... they came in and says they were completely shocked. There was wires everywhere coming out of whatever, and they came over and I just looked at them and said to them, bonjour, bitches. And they were like, well, there's nothing wrong with your mouth. You're quite all right. But that's the first thing that I said to them. So I don't really know. I suppose for me, it's like I don't remember. They had to go through, I would say Glenn went through more than me, because he was actually, He
was conscious through it.
He was conscious through it. I wasn't So...
Well, Glenn was going through it then, and to an extent still is going through it now, but you're very much going through it now. Mm-hmm. So, when was the moment that sticks out most for you, where realisation set in? See, it's quite hard for me to say, because I was always quite positive. Mm-hmm. I was just getting on with things. And I don't mean being negative either. I'm just talking about the stark reality. You're sitting in front of me now.
Yes.
And this is great crack and it's great fun, and your personality shines through, and your positivity does, Catriona. And to be honest with you, I knew that before I even met you here today. But I'm trying to balance that and the lovely wholesomeness nature of that positive, which illuminates you sitting in front of us here. to a girl who's a Pilates teacher, who works in Reformers, who works in London, gets on the flight and gets back home to work on the farm, loves the farm, and therapeutic is the word you used. And you're in a wheelchair and you can't walk. I mean, that is a complete 180, surely.
Well, I suppose just whenever you say that, probably out of everything, the worst thing that happened to me is when I did get out of hospital. I'd say that was a real, like, that 2 weeks was probably a pretty dark 2 weeks for me. It was, I suppose, the fact of you coming out and looking out and you can't get out. You actually felt like a prisoner in your own home. There was no ramps. It's an old farmhouse, you know, with the family home. It's an old farmhouse, so, you know, nothing's. It's like you have to continuously ask, "Can you take me up to the room?" Because it is a bungalow, but there's one step to the old room that I, you know, would have been in.
Yeah.
You couldn't get outside. It was just basically, you know, that 2 weeks for me was probably the worst out of everything. It just, every day just felt like Groundhog Day. It was like, you know, you're waking up and it was like you were throwing the blankets over and you were just saying to yourself, how the hell am I going to get through this day?
Who's the first person who told you? Like, obviously you were told that in France before you left to go home, that you weren't going to walk. So who was it that told you that?
Well, nobody really in France said it because we couldn't really understand what they were saying. So they could have been telling us anything. It was just sort of like maybe me blocking it out as well.
So what is your actual injury then?
So would be a T6 complete. So they sort of have these words like complete will be
So spinal?
Spinal parcel from the waist down.
Okay. Well, what is the diagnosis now? Will you ever be able to walk again?
Well, look, they give you sort of your synopsis, like down in Musgrave. So I suppose for me it was like a ticking time bomb in the sense that, you know, if nothing comes back within 3 months, then, you know, that's it. And that's where I suppose like your thought process, everything within Musgrave, like, because you're positive, and then it's like, God, right, okay, this 3 months soon coming up, you just need to start working here.
Yeah.
So that obviously doesn't happen. But in a sense, you know, my attitude is like, you know, yes, you've been given this, and you have to, there's an element that you have to accept, you know, and I do get that. But at the same time, I'm not just going to sit and do nothing. I'm going to keep tipping away. I'm going to keep working away at my exercises, and, you know, like, that's it for me. That's the way I look at it. I just, every day, I just, you know, we do our exercises like Monday to Friday. You know, we're working away with them, just finding small wee bits of movement. Now, not in the legs, but we're just talking around the pelvic area.
Yeah.
I'll take that, you know, because I suppose when I'm from a Pilates background, you know, I'm thinking about your pelvic floor and all of that. You know, to me, it's tiny, but it's a small inch I'll take, end off.
Yeah.
You know.
And you've mentioned the word accepting, which seems very, very important, and you're trying to balance the acceptance piece, which probably brings a level of peace to an extent, but also I'm getting from you very strongly here, there's a bit of steel and a determination to try and get better.
Bit of hope maybe as well.
That's it. If you don't have hope, sure, what, like, you know, go and sit in the corner then, like, literally what I'm doing, like, but, you know, I'm not going to sit like.
Like, have you been told, you know, from a medical background that, look, you're not going to walk again, or have they left that, look, it's unlikely? I'm consciously aware that the 12 weeks piece with an injury like that is kind of like make or break largely, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not completely. It's not 100%, is it? Like there are exceptions to that.
Well, who knows? As I say, it's like, you know, you're given a medical opinion, and, you know, when you've got an injury, this is the medical opinion with that. And yes, I will take that. Of course, I will have that level of acceptance for it. But at the same time, does that mean, okay, I accept it, so, you know, I'm not going to challenge it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you have to challenge things. Why not challenge? Like, you know, if there's a small wee glimmer, I'm not coming on saying here that, okay, this is it for me, or I'm being completely, that lassie's, maybe
delusional
about this. Like, I'm trying to keep the happy medium here with it.
Yeah.
Like, get on with things, but at the same time, just the wee small 1%. I suppose for me, like about 4 weeks ago, now obviously been on the farm, like one of the things like you have that bit of freedom with has been on the quad, and then the husband says, right, we'll try and get you on the quad, and obviously you're a bit nervous about that, but I says to him, I goes, right, we'll get on it. I says, pop on behind. This is about trunk control. This is about holding yourself up, that you're not going to be falling off the quad.
Yeah.
But we went round for a couple of laps. That was fair enough. And then I told him, goes, right, you can pop off and I'll go round for a couple of laps. So we did that, and he took a video. Went into physio that week because I do outpatients, and she was, every week she was like, what have you been at this week? And I said, oh God, I got on the quad. And she goes, you what? And I says, do you want to see the video? I said, because my posture's quite good in it. So she did look at the video and says, it's very good, like, but, and then she says, you're not even wearing a hamlet. And I was like, no, I normally do. I would, and just to say that, health and safety and all the rest, please don't come at me. I do wear a hamlet if I'm on the quad, but I was only going 5 miles an hour, like, so.
Yeah. You do your own thing, Catriona. But that's a big moment then, isn't it? I mean, it's something utterly you took for granted your entire life, jumping on the quad, beating up around a couple of fields. And, I mean, it must have been a great feeling afterwards.
Oh, the freedom of it. The like, absolute freedom of it, like. And just feeling, obviously, the wind in your hair, like, that's why I probably didn't wear the hamlet.
Yeah.
No, it was really, really good. It was obviously, you felt nervous because you're testing the corners, like, are you going to fly off this?
Yes.
Because you have to think about that. You're holding on to a quad. Like, how are you holding on to that? Yes, you have your hands, but you have your trunk as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just them wee small things that I'm taking.
Do you think your background, Thomas said we will go on and talk about football and that, but do you think your background has helped you in this regard? Because there's a lot to take on board. There's not only is it a life-changing injury, but life changes. Everything changes around you. The London thing. The fact that you would need care, attention. So is it your background and football that has helped in that regard?
Definitely, because I suppose growing up in the farm, like, there was all them jobs to do, lifting the stones, doing the turf, like, like our summers was foot and turf in the bog, and you got then your week's holiday in Bundoran, which is great. So that's the only place I knew in Donegal was Bundoran, because you went there every year. But I suppose all them, like, life skills on the farm, like, you're out working, and it does build a certain resilience in you. There's a lot of problem solving. I suppose, like, after the father died, he was quite precious about his tractor. I suppose, like, when before he died, he was hit by a beast and broke his hip. So he, obviously, you were doing his exercise with him, but he was a very determined man. Like, he was 82, and he wanted to get out. He needed to get out of that house. So he patiently worked through his exercise, and then it says to me, maybe 6 weeks in, he was like, God, I'm going to try the tractor. And of course, I'm like, turn my eyes up, but I don't want to stop him, because, you don't that's not the language you would use with that man. It was basically, I goes, right, we'll try it out. If it doesn't feel good, then we'll go at it the next day. Like, he got on that tractor that day, and that was it. We were flat to the tin, because you were being his hands to change different machinery, because he was still in the crutches from the broken hip. So I suppose things like that, you're saying, well, look, where there's a way, you just you keep tipping on with it.
I'm going to come to the bit that's surprisingly the greatest positive moment that you've had since the accident, which is a strange question, isn't it? Really, when you think about it, and the implications of having an accident, being a wheelchair user. But I suppose before we come to that, if there is such a thing, what was the lowest point for you?
Definitely that 2 weeks coming out. It was brutal. I didn't think I was gonna. It was just. It just felt so. Everything felt so dark in your mind, and it was just like, you were getting up, you were going down, to the kitchen, you were looking out. There was just so many jobs that needed, like for me, that needed doing.
So that was your frustration rather than not being able to walk?
I suppose it was just like the jobs in the farm that needed doing. And sort of like the freedom it gives you being out there and the headspace it gives you. That was definitely very, very, that was dark.
Yeah.
That was dark.
You seem to have taken it reasonably well, Catriona, just from chatting to you here. And I'm taking you as your authentic self sitting in front of us, that it's not like you're just saying it. Some people just talk, but actually inside they may be feeling something else. Is that, am I getting a real sense of you the way you've spoken for the last 25 minutes? You do seem to have taken it well.
I suppose, like, my sisters would have said that, like, it's, I don't know how you're doing it. Sometimes I don't know how I'm doing it, and I don't know. It's just suppose within myself, it's like, you have to, like, you just have to keep going, and you have to keep, knocking at these things and seeing where it takes you.
And what's the positive that you've been able to take out of the entire experience? And like, it's conscious not to come across as a crass question, but if there's anything that maybe has surprised you that you can take as a positive from it, what would that be?
God.
And it's okay to say there's nothing.
I know.
It is okay to say that, but I suppose, do you have more time? Do you have more? I don't know, and I'm not trying to engineer an answer if it's not actually there. But I'm just curious: is there something there that you can cling on to a wee bit?
God, well, I suppose whenever you talk about time, it's, sometimes you be thinking, like, because life has been so hectic since my father died, like with the travelling back and forward, like, and, I suppose, like, maybe one thing that me and the husband talked about was that, Christ, like, when you look back at what we were doing, it was like, holy crap, like, this was madness, like, where we have a bit of time now, I suppose, like, for ourselves, just to, just to be relaxed, and as he says, just to, like, not be in a rush.
Yeah.
I suppose that's maybe the big thing, like, that we're not constantly rushing, because it was like hell for leather all the time.
Wow. Just your attitude is... You remind me very much of my mother-in-law. Just even your accent and the way you talk and the way, just like...
Is that a good thing?
It's a good thing. No, it's a good thing. You're like Breda. You're like Breda.
B word.
No, you're very, very much like Breda.
You obviously have a lot of support around you, though. I mean, that seems to be the thing.
Oh no, it's major. Like, I have Danuta, the Polish girl, sister.
Yeah. Right, you may just explain that. Just
Oh, sorry.
right. So for people, so Danuta, to the best of her ability, she might not know where she comes from, but she comes from the mountain between Kalisha and Galway. Is your sister, and actually,
She's getting on a bit too, though.
yeah, she's your older sister.
She's the older sister. I'm the youngest in the house. Where do I wink to?
Yeah, she is going to hate you. But actually, I've never heard of the name Dunuda before. And I first made contact with you through your sister. And I actually Googled Dunuda. I was thinking, is that Irish? But sounds Polish. And then the pronunciation guide comes up online. Because when I'm speaking to this person, I don't want to mispronounce her name. And it came up Dunuda. But she's not actually Polish, is she?
No, she's, I suppose it's just sort of like a running joke.
Some name, though, isn't it? For
Oh, it is.
where'd it come from?
So, well, it's a Polish name, but Danuta was going to be christened but still hadn't got a name, and this is where the uncle had rang, my father's brother, and was going out with this girl, Danuta, and goes, oh, what about the name Danuta? And they went with that. So that's where that originally from. But it's just like when you're talking to people, they're always very surprised about, Danuta. Everybody calls her Doots. And as I used to say, like I says, if you take the D, the first two letters and the last letter, the middle of it's nut, which would probably suit her, right? Like,
Seems to be a family trait, all the same.
I said,
just upon recent evidence.
so no, they've been on Michelle. Me and her have been very, very close. So, she's definitely been a great rock. Like,
Yeah.
but no, the family's all really pulled together.
You seem like a close bunch. How many is there of you? Like your mum and dad have died. How many? 4 years, is there? 4 kids?
5.
5. And you're the youngest, obviously, as well.
Yes, of course.
But you have a big birthday coming up next year.
I think it's this year.
This year? It is this year. Sorry, beg your pardon. This year. Yeah.
20.
We'll not go there. We'll not go there. What about the football? Are you watching it? Are you enjoying it?
Oh no, I do.
Ladies football, men's football, camogie, the whole shebang.
No, the whole lot, because I suppose when I was in France, like, you were in July, and I know, like, I was in a side room, my own. I mind there was one particular game, like, I would be quite abusive to the TV with all the expletives, like, but I think there was
You're doing very well at the minute.
I know.
We are still going to have to put a language warning at the beginning.
I know.
There's been a few, but they haven't been major.
No,
which,
I'm actually surprised myself.
when we were chatting in the first 10 minutes before we started recording, there were alarm bells, but you're doing very well, I have to be honest.
I'm surprised at myself now.
Yeah, no.
But I know when I was inside, I can't even remember what game I was watching, but I know there was a couple of nurses that came in because I was shouting at the screen.
Well, Tyrone were in All-Ireland semi-final in July last year, so could have been that maybe.
Could have been that.
Didn't go according to plan right enough.
Well, it could have been explosive then with it. Because it was definitely... I know a couple of the nurses that came in because they thought I maybe fell out of bed or something, or I don't know, maybe the Messiah walked. I don't know. It was... They came in then, it was like me just like, no, TV type thing.
So what is life like now? What's it like for you?
Well, I'm still keeping busy. Like, I do have my routine, and I suppose this routine's been... It has been a routine for years anyway.
Yeah.
And I suppose just that was the thing when I did get into France, that I kept that routine going. So it was basically like, as I talk about my books, so basically my books would be just like a gratitude journal, which I've been doing for years anyway.
Okay.
Where did that come from? Why do that? Where did that
I
come
don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I've been doing it for years.
Oh, and what does that look like? Like, what do you actually do?
Thanks for being me. Huh.
You write this in it?
Aye. Well, no, I was only joking. That. But just I suppose it's the simple things, and it's trying not to write the same thing every day where you're regurgitating. I am grateful for. It's like you really have to try and find the stuff to be grateful for, and that's where it really sort of like, opens your mind to say, well, what are you grateful for? Well, look, I've got money in my pocket to buy a coffee. Do you know what I mean? It's just,
So how often would you write in that book? Every day or
every day, yeah.
Right. So you're doing that for the last, 10 years?
Well, you could say that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
After the accident, Do you remember the first time you wrote in that book?
I think it was just because I told Glenn to sort of like, to get my books so I could, sort of get into it. But if as a known routine,
Yeah.
if it was only routine, I could really do, because it's like I couldn't do anything else. Like I couldn't get out of the bed. Or it was just, so it was just that known thing to do. So it was that wee journal and that, and then it's just like I would write 2 lines a day.
But do you, I mean, I'm just, and you maybe just don't remember it, because there's probably a haze there, but you're back in the home house at this stage, you're back in Ireland, and Glenn gets you the gratitude book.
But this was in France. When I was in hospital.
Right, okay.
That was to keep, like.
Because you've obviously brought it with you on holidays.
Aye.
Beg your pardon. So so it's even more stark. He brings it to you in hospital. There's your gratitude book, and you're sitting there. You can't move your legs. At this stage, you've been given a level of diagnosis, and you're about to write what you're grateful for. Have you ever looked back on that page out of curiosity?
I can only presume that I would have written, but I must actually look at it, as just to be alive, because honestly, Glenn cannot believe how the hell I survived that.
Yeah.
And didn't pick up any other injuries as such, you know what I mean, like head injuries or...
We see, this is the thing. It's like he is mystified, like how I didn't crack my head, like, he says it was just incredible. I had this one wee mark here. I had, I suppose I had 3 fractured ribs on this side, 2 on this side. At that point they talked about like a leaking lung, and then there was something to do with the cervical spine and the neck, but I think it was fine. They didn't have to operate on it. So he says like how you're living, like how your head, he says, because there was boulders, as well, like when you're coming from that drop.
Okay. Positivity seems to come quite naturally to you, Catriona. It probably doesn't to a lot of people.
Well, there's not
just
too
the
many.
same.
There's not too many people I know who haven't been through something really serious in their life before this that will be writing stuff in like you said, books. What's the other stuff you're writing now?
So if another book, I was quite silly, like, but I just write 2 lines a day, and it's just from maybe stuff that maybe somebody have talked to me about, maybe something I've overheard in the coffee shop. It's just sort of like it's not like you're just writing a wee mini story.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know where it's going to end up. It's just like 2 lines, and then come back to it the next day, and I do 2 pages and that's it, finished. But I've been doing that for like probably 10 years as well. It's just different things that, it can be overheard in a coffee shop. It could be just maybe somebody saying maybe something personal, maybe a relationship end, and it's just different. Okay, it's just.
Do you think will you collaborate the whole thing and do a
Oh God,
book or
it
something?
is. It's coming out in all good bookstores. I'll get a sign.
You do it for your big birthday.
Huh?
You get it going for your big birthday.
Oh, aye.
The big 2-0. And the big 2-0. I just think it's fascinating listening to you here. I really do. I just think it's laced with authentic positivity. It's probably your nature I'm sort of picking up. People don't have that. People have been through a lot less than you and don't have a fraction of that. What would you say to someone who maybe struggles to reach that level of optimism and positivity that you carry so well?
I suppose just really challenging the mindset. Like you really have to challenge it. I suppose like, that particular 2 weeks where I was definitely, when I talked about coming out, like, and it was just every day, you just kept saying to yourself, just get up, get through the day. Okay, that day is now done. Next day, get up, just go, just try.
Yeah.
And it does get lighter. It does. Like I found that bit of lightness starting to happen 2 weeks later, but it was just that sort of like, just try and get up. Get your day started. just one step at a time. Just really just. I don't know. It's just I know it's difficult, like, and everybody's got their own shit, more or less, like, and everybody does have their problems, no matter what it is, whether it's somebody in a relationship problem, whether somebody's not feeling great about themselves, comparing themselves. It's it's no less or more than anybody else's. If that makes sense. It's real to them.
Are you happy? Strange question.
I delirious. Well, look, I say just take every day as it comes, and as long as you have a bit of crack, that's the main thing for me. As long as you're like meeting people with energy, having the crack. A lot of the time people don't know what to say to you, and I do get that, but I sort of take a bit of humour from that because, you can see their struggle.
Yeah.
And it's quite funny, actually. I know, like, I'd went till my friend's father had passed away maybe 6-7 weeks ago. Went to the funeral, and obviously you're trying to get in to get to the back of the chapel, like, because, you don't want to be making a scene, you're just hiding at the back. But people were coming in, and they were sort of looking at you, and then they were like, I think they were quite surprised to see you there. But then it's sort of like, when they come over and say, God, it's great to see you out. Goes, sure, it's great to be out, isn't it? And you're sort of thinking to myself, like, the sister was sitting beside me, and I sort of said, people must think I'd be reading the death notices in their snooze just to get out for a good funeral. This must be the only thing I'm going out for, like, because it's great to be out. That type thing. Goes, yeah, I could pick other things, like.
Has anybody ever said anything that just cut you a bit? You mentioned there you take great humour of people's awkwardness around you, with your accent and being in the wheelchair. And look, your personality is so beautiful that you can do that. But has anybody said something that you just think, not nice?
I don't know whether it could be just ignorance on a part.
Yeah.
They see you in a wheelchair, and yep, that's you now in a wheelchair. That's life. And to me, it's sort of like, that's challenge it. I'm more from the mindset, it's nearly like, when you get that sort of sense where people's like, oh, poor you, and it's sort of like, you're under your breath, probably saying a lot of explicits and saying, like, it's sort of like, when people do come straight and goes, will you ever walk again? And it's sort of in my head goes, well, I'll be the first one down knocking on your door whenever I do walk again, just to remind you that, I'm walking here now.
Yeah.
But that's just sort of like my mindset. Like, obviously, I have to be aware that, this may be life. But at the same time, it's sort of like...
Are you insulted when people ask you that question?
Not insulted, just sort of like more of a fire.
Yeah.
More of a fire in you, like where you're, well, who's to say?
But even asking the question, you said that it lights a fire, whereas I suppose I'm sort of coming back at you here a wee bit, and I hope you don't mind, but just it would seem like maybe the obvious question to ask someone, would you ever walk again? But it lights a fire in you. And probably that maybe just scratches the beneath the surface of just that relationship between someone who hasn't had an accident and is able to walk as freely as ever, and maybe having a conversation with someone in a wheelchair. Whereas I think the word you used is great around ignorance. I think it is that you'd like to think that people aren't trying to be insulting, but ignorance can be very insulting. But does it insult you when people ask you, will you walk again?
Not really.
But what do you mean the fire now? What do you mean there now?
Well, it's sort of like you can. Sometimes it's like I feel I can see it in their face that it's like, oh, in that manner.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, because there's always this, and I think it's just maybe the Irish people in general, where it's all like, nearly like, you can't.
Yeah.
There's always that sort of like, from a young age, it's always like, no, you shouldn't do that, you can't. Well, why not? Like,
Extra wee bit of motivation.
that's it. It's just like, well, why not? Because we do live in a society where, like, I suppose we're all notorious for, like, us will put ourselves down. It's just sort of like, these things are impossible. Things are possible, but you're quite, I'm always trying to go back to that. If anybody medical, like, might be looking at this and saying, that lassie's wired, but it's like, hope, why not?
Yeah.
You
You could be, I don't know, Britain's fittest farmer.
Well, no, British, no, I wouldn't have been a very fit British.
Apparently so. Just when you're living in England, was there a Britain's fittest farmer thing? Did I hear that? Did I pick that up right?
Do you know something? Me and the husband went to the Scotland Highland show, and then seen all this madness going on.
Oh, this is a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so thought, God, sure, I'll try that. It was just sort of like qualifiers, and then made it to the finals. Disaster! Hey, it was like there was one particular thing. It was sort of like everybody was laughing anyway, but one part of the because it was all like you were doing times and getting points for, like, you were lifting a quad. You had a like deadlift quad, which I found that was one of my stronger points doing.
Yeah. Did you always know you had that strong point?
I will just, if anybody breaks down, shout me and I lift their quad. That's one thing I'm good at. But there was these barriers that you had to jump over, but they were like way up there, and I was just like trying to jump to get over the damn thing. I was like, this sort of like height, like major height difference. Like, does people not know that there is still people born under like or 5 foot? Like,
Yeah. You wouldn't be the tallest now.
I wouldn't be. And then being in this chair just makes it a lot of people with sore necks talking to me, and me sore necks looking up at them.
Right. Okay. Look, unbelievable stuff, Catriona. I feel like we haven't even.
No, because beforehand you were talking about your time playing football with Tyrone and picking up a cruciate injury.
Cruciate ligament, ACL.
How'd that happen?
Got the ball turned, and
What was the game?
it was the semi-final of the league, 96.
Right.
And must be getting beat half.
You were flying.
Oh no, I was flying it. Yeah, that's sorry. I'll continue that on then. So, half time, I was told that if I didn't buck up, that I'd be coming off, and so I thought to myself, right, I really need to smarten up here. So, second half went, and class ball in, turned, bang, goals. So I thought, good, I'm not coming off. You'll see that I'm starting to fly on. And the exact same thing happened, just like, run of play. It was just like a repeat. Ball landed into the arms and then turned, and next thing, that was it. I swore I had been shot, like the pain in my knee.
Yeah.
So in them days, it was like nobody knew what an ACL was like. Like, I went to a hospital and it was like, I give it 2 weeks rest. But at that time, they couldn't. I couldn't get up, and like I was like the referee. He was like, says, you need to get up, but I just kept cursing. I was like, I'm in so much pain, but I couldn't get a stretcher. So then Mary Conley, she took her child out of the pram and went on to pitch and took me off the pitch. Then
On the pram?
On the pram. So yeah.
That was the early stages of ladies football, wasn't it?
It was.
But that's bad.
That's
I mean,
brutal.
I mean, you hear that. Mm-hmm. You're carried off a semi-final of a league on a pram.
Yeah.
Not carried, wheeled.
Wheeled.
Wait. Wait. That's right.
Never misses, does he?
No.
Please tell me there's pictures or video or something of that. No?
Oh no, I don't. Sure, there was thank God nobody was.
Well,
On this.
there was no pictures then.
There's no-
It's 96, not 1896,
No.
Catriona.
Well, I don't think anybody would be carrying their phones or
camera
things,
phones,
whatever,
yeah.
till games.
But you know, when you see what it is now, it's some transformation.
Oh
isn't it?
my God,
Like
it's
the ladies'
unreal.
game.
It's unreal. Like when you think about your day, like we had a source fields locally,
Yeah.
you know, and you were playing football with sheep, you know, sheep's like shit all over the, you know, you were just, that's how we had a source fields. Like when we first,
Just for the club.
No base.
because that club was formed in '89.
Yeah. So you're actually not exaggerating as in the football field, you're talking about a field.
A field, you had a source A field. And I can always remember, it was always like the fields then that had been, you know, the silage was cutting it and oh God, they were class like. They were class.
No, well, you do, like whenever we do the silage now, there is a nice week there where it's just, it is nice, like.
So that was, when you think about, and them days, it was 2 bounces.
That's right.
There was 2 bounces. You know, just going back, you know, when you think about like your football mates and county mates, like, you know, what them girls have done for me from the accident has been absolutely phenomenal, like.
Yeah. You had a big day there recently.
It was last week. Last Saturday.
Yeah.
It's just been unreal. And
What did they do?
well, but it was a wheelchair event, and we ended up having like 64 teams in. And I suppose it opened up a lot of things too, in the sense that, you know, people like really, really enjoyed it. Like the craic was brilliant.
Yeah.
There was, just for example, a girl I would have played football against. Now the sister was telling me this. Colleen, her father, he's in a wheelchair and he had a stroke quite a number of years ago, but she was able to get him out onto the court and he just had a blast.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, you're sort of thinking, God almighty, like, you know, when you go back to that analogy of being in the house, looking out the window, you know, what is there out there for people? You know, like where if you had, like, because you always think about human connection, like it's, you know, human connection is key, you know, just for, as say, like, you know, for your mom McSorley, and like he thoroughly enjoyed it, like, you know, and I suppose you can talk about me niece, like she would have dyspraxia, and she was in one of the teams, and she absolutely loved it,
Yeah.
because she felt, you know, she felt a part of it, and she, you know, she could achieve more than she would, like if she went to football herself. So there was, I suppose there was a good eye opening with everything as well, because they played games outside and they played in a slope, and that was just to sort of challenge, you know, like, you know, the different difficulties that you have when you're out and about and you're going up slopes, and
Yeah.
you know, it just was, I suppose, like from the day where, you know, you'd have been hoping that everybody would have been that wee bit more aware, like of even parking and drop curbs, and you know,
Yeah.
Aware is the word, isn't it?
awareness. It's just, you know,
We've all parked on drop curbs.
oh
like,
God,
you know.
definitely.
But I just think that aware, you know, when people like you say that, Catriona, cuts differently. When you talked about, you know, like wheelchair hurling, like Ulster Council do some great work on this. And,
Yes.
you know, the way you described that there, just that human connection, it nearly the wheelchair hurling is not important, but it's the human connection that is. And even you said there, in the outside bit, the slope, okay, here's another wee obstacle. I'm not giving you a free pass here,
Yeah.
nearly away, but it replicates what day-to-day life's like. And
Yeah.
just that little bit you said there was... And I know you used to work for the Ulster Council, which we didn't even get into, so Gaelic Games is your life, you know. It's
Do you go to games now, or I
Um,
know Tyrone don't have a lot of games at the minute, like championship boys.
definitely want to go to Armagh games, anyway.
See, never put out that fire. See the way he did that? He tried to insult you, but tried to pretend he didn't.
No, well,
You have to watch out for that now.
Good at insulting. I suppose you would have went to ladies' games, like if I had been home, you know, at weekends you would have went to your club, like championship game, whatever, see how the girls are getting on. And
They're on the up again as well. Tyrone.
Catriona, we'll wrap it up there. I could talk to you for hours, and I feel that we've just haven't even scratched the surface of you and everything that comes with you. But you're a beautiful person, I have to say. Very taken by you here today. Just it's nearly that lackadaisy attitude, but it's a lovely thing. It's accepting, making the most of it, gratitude, like all those things. And you know, people have been dealt less blows, and
Wouldn't have as much gratitude.
you know, I just think there's so many lessons, and not in a preachy way, just in a lived way. With more Catriona McGahans in the world, we'd all be in a better place. So look, thank you very much for doing this here.
Thanks, Catriona.
Thanks for letting Glenn agree to having you do this as well. And
I will also be sending a major invoice to you.
that's all right. Yeah, no problem at all.
Time out.
Tristan will sort that out now.
Right, that's-
He's
He's
getting
head of
carried
it.
away now. You know,
He's head of invoices.
He's head of invoices now, and
is it?
he's getting a bit difficult to work with. People are starting to recognise him in the street now. He's getting a bit carried away with the whole thing. But
Well, I suppose just one thing that I would like to say is just, you know, just a major thanks to everybody for the, you know, the support they have given me. Like, I'm just completely blown away. And I suppose, like, the GAA family in particular, you know, with the Tyrone ladies, the Ulster ladies, you know, my teammates from, you know, that has all travelled in for the wheelchair games last week. Like, it's just been, you know, your football family has just been amazing. Like,
Yeah.
And I suppose to Ailish Gormley, personally, on a personal note, she has been a phenomenal girl. Like, where, you know, she's probably the first ones down in the hospital, like, and would have been kept nudging away. And she goes, oh, no, I think we need to do something. I was saying you can run and jump there somewhere. But
this is Ailish, the footballer.
this is Ailish the footballer. She is a Trojan of a girl, hey.
Yeah.
A Trojan of a girl. And all her team, you know, behind her, like all the girls, Anne, Maura,
Maura McManaman. Her husband's good friends, Oisin.
Oh God, aye.
Yeah, actually, we're not bad now.
You say, upon recent events,
Yes.
I have a photograph of the two of them shaking hands. I was going to caption it the Good Friday Agreement.
Oh, very good. Front of
Was it
their
Saturday,
news.
though?
She's great words on you, as everybody does. You're well got and you're well loved.
Well, look, it's just to thank everybody. Like, I don't know what else to.
Yeah, see the way you changed the subject there and I was giving you a compliment. See, did you notice that?
Huh?
Yeah, you did.
Right.
Listen, thank you for taking part, Catriona. Go well. Best of luck with whatever it is that lays ahead. And your positivity is a beautiful thing. So look, continued happiness, success, Tyrone, you know, on all fronts.
Yeah.
Ladies football coming again. Footballers of, you know, they're still there despite
No, they've
a bit of
probably all watched my
negativity.
video. You know, the shooting video and scoring video. That's a demo video
box
of
set.
all my skills.
Yeah,
They're probably all watching that. So
that's maybe it is. Yeah, well,
it's
that's-
coming good again.
It's the video of you coming off the pitch in the pram. That's the one I want to see.
But sure, you can bring that out when you're releasing the book.
Oh,
you know,
true.
You know, in fairness,
Must do it.
available in all good bookshops.
Yeah.
Catriona, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate it. Great stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What a brilliant,
Thanks
brilliant
to
person.
your older sister for dropping you down as
No,
well,
it's-
taking you down.
Sure, I might have to wheel home now.
Yeah.
But no, thanks so much for coming on. And not only, you know, the positivity and the ratings and the ratings. I write a lot of stuff down now, I suppose, because of my history and background. But it is so important to do stuff like that, and just for people who think they have nothing to be grateful for, probably time to waking up.
No, true. Just very simple things. Very simple things, and it doesn't have to be like a big major. I can say, I've seen a flare. Grateful to see a flare. Just simple as that.
Small wins.
Yeah. Go well, Catriona. Please God, we'll see you again soon. Many more podcasts on BBC Sounds, much more GAA content right across as ever the BBC. We're in the middle of championship season, clearly. There's lots going on. And as ever, to all our loyal listeners, as ever, thanks for listening.